George Washington is 22 years old. He's the same age that young men today would be graduating from college and trying to decide what they want to do with their lives. He's young, he's full of energy, he's athletic, he's vigorous, he's kind of full of himself. He thinks the world is at his fingertips and he's ready to conquer. And he's full of ambition. He wants to prove that he's as good a man, if not better, than anybody else. And he thinks the sky is the limit. So when he meets with Governor Dinwiddie of Virginia and he learns that he has an opportunity to lead men into the wilderness against the most impossible odds and to truly test himself, he says, great, I'll do it. This is my opportunity. It's like imagine being put on a helicopter and parachuted into Somalia today. It's kind of the same type of situation for Washington, but he doesn't have a second thought. So he leads men into the wilderness in 1753 and 1754. He tests himself physically. He finds something out about himself as a person, his limitations and his strengths. And when the war begins, the French and Indian War begins, Washington sees it as a great adventure. He sees it as a proving ground for his manhood, but he also sees it as a proving ground for Americans generally. This is a test of myself, and this is a test of the American people. Are we a subject people? Are we part of an empire in which we simply have to do as we're told and follow along our colonial overlords, or can we simply look them in the eyes as equals and say, yes, look, we can do everything you can do? So when Washington fights the first battles of the French and Indian War, again, he has kind of an arrogance to him at Jumonville's Glen, at Fort Necessity, and even leading into Braddock's defeat on the Monongahela River in July of 1755. He thinks, again, I'm going to prove myself, and we as Americans are going to prove ourselves as people. But something changes in that summer of 1755 along the banks of the Monongahela when the French and Indians attack General Edward Braddock's column, in which Washington is acting as an aide-de-camp. And the column breaks down, it becomes a pell-mell free-for-all with men shooting into each other's backs, Indians breaking through the ranks and tomahawking people, and officers falling on every side. And Washington is the only man in a leadership position. Washington is the only man in a leadership position who's left and able to command troops. And he has to somehow pull them together and take them off that battlefield. Washington later wrote that he would always remember that night, after the battle, and the cries of the wounded, and the physical suffering, and the challenge of trying to take that army through the dark off the battlefield. Something changes. He is now a combat veteran. He's not broken by the experience. He's not shattered by the experience, but it is a profoundly maturing experience for him. And he now sees war as it is, as any combat veteran would see it. He sees the camaraderie, he sees the endurance that's necessary, he sees the day-to-day aspects of warfare. And he also sees the triumph that can come through a campaign that's well fought and well led. But he also sees the suffering. He sees the human cost. And he begins to see war in all of its facets. And that colors his attitude toward war for the rest of his life. Again, as it may be necessary, it may be essential to fight for honor, for liberty, for all manner of things, but it is always a painful option. It may be a necessity, but is a painful necessity. And so his attitude as a young man of 21 or 22 of war is a great adventure is transformed in that crucible of the French and Indian